A group of German priests, supported by their bishops, have announced that next May 10th, in some cases in the evening before, on the 9th, they will celebrate a ceremony in the churches, in their parishes, for the blessing of homosexual couples or heterosexual couples who are not married in the church. This act is part of the wave of protest against the decision of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, obviously endorsed by the Holy Father, otherwise it couldn't have been published, and also the document itself says that the Pope gave the permission, the assent for the publication, a decision that prohibits the blessing of homosexual unions because it states that sin cannot be blessed. The wave of protest was immediately unleashed and involved bishops from various countries, theologians, priests associations, other types of civil associations, and even famous media personalities such as the singer Elton John. It is a reaction, the one that was then organized, which now has this addition, this public challenge against the teaching of the Church. A challenge that in reality is a challenge against the Holy Father, because it is especially against him that this challenge, this defiance is directed. But to understand it properly, it must be put in context. In Germany, there are approximately 10,000 Catholic parishes. Well, 10,000 Catholic parishes that have been invited by the organizers of this event, invited to join this public demonstration of rejection of the teachings of the Church. Of the 10,000 parishes, 14 have responded. That is to say, practically 0.1% or 0.14%, an insignificant figure. Therefore, we should not speak of rebellion, but of a very small rebellion, a tiny rebellion. This does not mean that it is not serious. On the contrary, it is very serious, but I repeat, we must put things in context. What makes what is going to happen on the 10th particularly serious is that unless there is a last-minute news, what makes this particularly serious is that the promoters know, or think they know, that it is going to be without consequences. That is to say, they are challenging the Church, and in particular the Pope, and they are telling him that the norms given by the Church, in this case the prohibition to bless homosexual couples, other norms, such as communion to Protestants or liturgical norms, that the norms of the Church today have no value whatsoever. They are no longer in force, they are dead letter. That is what they're saying. They're saying that they are going to do whatever they want, whenever they want, without caring about what the hierarchy of the Church and the magisterium think. And I say that it is a direct attack against a Pope, it is a direct challenge against a Pope, because if the Pope does nothing about it, if the Church does nothing about it, if they, as they have announced, and as they have already announced to some of their bishops, are going to allow the bishops to make this challenge, to make this defiance, this provocation, and nothing happens, then many Catholics will be deeply disconcerted, scandalized, hurt, because they will see that the Church tolerates this situation with total impunity. Obviously, if something is done, if there is some kind of sanction, then those who are going to be scandalized and very badly, they're going to feel disappointed in Pope Francis, are those who until now have been his main defenders and supporters, and they're going to openly turn against him without any kind of palliative or excuse. They're putting the Pope in a compromise. It is an attack explicitly directed at him, at the Church, at the hierarchy, at the magisterium, but explicitly at him. I repeat, it is not only because of the numerical importance of the act. 0.1% of the German parishes have joined the event, this celebration at least so far, and it does not seem that the web is having much success. But because of the public character that they want to give to it. In fact, one of the parishes of the Diocese of Munster has said that they are not only going to film the ceremony, but also afterwards they're going to film an act in which all the couples are going to kiss, and they are going to upload it immediately to the networks. I repeat, it is a public provocation directed against the Pope so that the Pope will intervene. If he is not going to do it, the congregation of bishops is going to do it against the bishops who allow it, or the congregation of the clergy against the priests who do this. The Vatican will do it, or else it will not do it. I repeat, if it does not anything about it, there are many who will be deeply hurt, disappointed, and besides, arguments will be given to those who say that in the Church there are two yardsticks. A very hard yardstick, very hard, for those who are conservative, and a very tolerant yardstick, or completely tolerant, for those who are liberal, progressive, or for the Catholic Protestants, as they are called. The Pope is at a crossroads. It is against him, against whom this act is directed. They are putting him in a dilemma. He has to manifest himself, and if he does not manifest himself, it is already a form of manifestation. The Bishop of San Sebastian, Bishop Munilla, has asked for prayers for the unity of the Church. I completely agree with him. But he added that this unity of the Church must be based on fidelity to the magisterium of the Church. Unity is an extraordinary value. A schism is a tragedy to be avoided. Only a fool would like a schism to occur. A schism is a tragedy that we must try to avoid, but not at any price. Because if we had to go through everything, the Church would have had to accept, for example, the heresy of Arius, who deny the divinity of Jesus Christ. Before the Church breaks up, we have to accept that Christ is not God, or that some say yes and that others say no. Or we would have had to accept the doctrine of Luther, or the doctrine of Calvin, or the multiple heresies that have already split the unity of the Church in 2000 years. Unity, I repeat, is a great value. We must try to avoid schism, but not at any price. Unity around doctrine, around the magisterium of the Church. This is what Bishop Munilla is asking for, and I fully join him in his request. Let us pray for the unity of the Church. Let us support the Holy Father to defend that unity, and to continue defending, as he has done by expressing his support for the teaching of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, to continue defending the dogma, the tradition, everything that our fathers have taught us and that goes back to Jesus Christ, to the origin of the Church. Let us pray. See you next week, God willing.